So who recognizes this? So this sound is one of the most powerful sounds in the Beatles' output. This distinctive chord that opens up A Hard Day's Night became one of the most powerful sounds in contemporary music. The Beatles influenced so many people around the world, and the music industry changed completely when Beatlemania invaded the globe. The distinctive chord that I listened to this chord when I was 13 years old. My dad brought me the first album that I ever had, A Hard Day's Night. And I remember playing this album over and over again. And back then was the moment where I really recognized, I really became aware of the power of music. Back then I was not really a fan of any artist, any band. I was not following anything. But after I listened to that chord, I listened to that album, it grabbed me. It really blew me away, and I was completely driven. And my whole attention from that moment on went to music. So, yeah, the album, and I actually brought the cover when I from the CD that I got from my dad. So, yeah, and then this awareness that started there, it moved on throughout today in so many levels that I became asking me different questions about, for example, how will we enjoy music now and in the future? What will happen after, I will grow up and I will be listening to music? How will be my experience? That was like one of the different questions. So I started really a journey, I would say, trying to always be aware of that power. What is the influence that music had in my life? So, and at the same time, when I was like already working professionally as a music producer, I started asking me, when do we create this awareness that we have? When do we create sustainable strategies in the music industry towards, in all different levels, in the production, in the performance, in the distribution, and in the production from music? And it really got me to the point where I wanted to do something more than just putting an album together or organizing a concert. So when I moved on, I started asking, how does the carbon footprint of a live music tour looks like? And then I found out online a lot of information, and there's actually a very interesting study. It's called the Green Touring Guide, which shows what is the footprint in the different parts of a live music tour. So you have the most of the carbon footprint is given by the venues and the audience travel. So working after at music festivals, I got some more information. So when my attention was driven to sustainability in music, I got some information. For example, music festivals leave about the same carbon footprint that a small town does. Just 4 days of music festival of entertainment leaves that much amount of carbon footprint. And then I found out more information that there's a study about the average European music business leaves about 540,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide. This is the same amount of carbon footprint that a small town like 54,000 people leaves in 1 year That's the half of size of Jena, for example, or the same of 180,000 cars carbon footprint. So I was like really impressed. It's just 4 days of so much enjoyment and experiences and having a great time was having so much impact on our environment. Then that started really 6-7 years ago when I said I have to do something, and I went out and was talking to a lot of people in the music industry, colleagues, bands, music companies, music agencies. And then I say, okay, I have to start by my own. And then when I issue, for example, a production writer or a technical writer, I would like to do it towards sustainability. So first, what is a production writer? What is a technical writer? It's nothing else but the whole compilation of technical information that a band gives to the concert promoter, to the concert producer. So they advance the production. When the band gets into the venue, most of the things are prepared. So I was not really only just compiling all this information about the lighting, about the sound, about the catering, and then telling them what the band needs in order to do the show. I wanted to do it sustainable. So I started writing in the writer, actually, that we would like, as a band, to have green energy sources to power the show. And it's not that the venues are gonna change that from one day to another, but we started the conversation. We started really talking to the venues, to the concert producers, and trying to raise awareness on this and doing something. It's just not talking about it, but we advise, we encourage venues about sustainability and how the venue can start doing this, but switching from their, let's say, regular energy source, power source, to renewable energy sources. That was one of the things. So we put it in the writer. We put out actually in the writer telling the catering companies that provide the food for the bands where you get to the show in the backstage. Usually in Europe you get food when you go to a band to do a show. And then we were talking about having regional, seasonal, and organic produce, and if possible, vegan. Vegan catering is very important. As we all know, animal agriculture and meat production for human consumption is one of the main contributors to greenhouse gases, polluting our environment and actually contributing more to climate change. So we were talking about having a vegan catering, regional, seasonal, and organic, if possible. If the catering companies were going to do that, it will be great. But if they were having already their, let's say, the way they work, it will be actually in their minds already that this is a subject that we have to address when you are providing catering. And at the same time, we were talking about recycling. So we were telling, when I'm always sending an email, I'm always putting on the bottom, like, please don't print this email or the documents attached, only if it's necessary, only if you really have to do it. And if you have printed, if you are reading, for example, the production writer from a paper, please put it in a recycle bin and recycle. So that's another way that we are talking about now, about recycling, about waste management, about separating waste. And so I started. That was the first things that I did 6 years ago. So after a couple of years, I wanted to look in the music industry if there would be like a model or like some kind of, let's say, a structure where I can work. Then I find out that there were many interesting initiatives. There was like the Green Music Initiative that started in Berlin, and I got in contact with them, and I was asking them really how How do we do this like with a economic model that works in the environment and for the economic purposes in the music industry? So I found out there was a lot of information, but not really like a model where I can look to, and then I have all the parts that I need when I'm going on tour with a band or I'm producing a show, all one together, so we can really look if we are going to be sustainable or not. Of course, the goals of a sustainable music business should be or are to reduce the carbon footprint, to generate less waste, create environmental awareness, and engage sustainability from all the actors that participate in a live music show or in a live music tour. So I started looking up of all the parts. So I went to check how do we get to the venue. So that's the mobility. So let's start using, for example, fuel-efficient vehicles, tour buses, that we can actually use eco-fuel. There's like, right now the technology is there that you can really start putting diesel or gas into your vehicle that is fuel efficient. That will have advantages when you are on the road. So talking to the venues about creating incentives to use the bicycle, organizing shuttles, and public transportation. And I moved to the venues. We talked about asking the venue to use renewable and green energy to power the show. Looking up if the venues have recycling programs. Then I went to the hospitality. Where are we staying with the band? So I found out that there's like a network of level certified hotels that are more eco-friendly. They are having another water treatment, another recycling processes. So those are the hotels that I'm now looking up when I'm going to stay with the band during a tour. Then I went to the catering. We talked about asking, if possible, to have vegan catering, regional, seasonal, organic, but also now after we were in this process, we found out that we can use less packaging, and try to avoid plastic totally, and drinkable water from filter sources, and use less plastic bottles on stage or in the backstages. And then I moved to the merch part, and then I find out that there are great companies already doing fair trade, organic, labeled merchandise. So there's a couple examples that are happening already in the music industry, but I wanted to collect them all and have them like in a model. So this is like actually the work for the past 5 years that I put it up, and then I'm sharing this. I would like to share this more so we can become really sustainable in the music industry. We are definitely facing a lot of challenges today. And I had a great experience when I was a teenager with music that changed my life forever. And I would like really to have our children, my kids, to have the same experience in the future. And although these challenges remain, we can decide and we can act today which world do we want to have. And the way we want to enjoy music in the future, it happens when we act today and we decide towards sustainable music. We can all, with our acts, definitely support events and music concerts that have a sustainable approach in the center, creating synergies with all these actors. If we are really looking at this, we can start really enjoying music and having a better future that is really ongoing. Thank you very much.